Hello, good evening. I had posted a video a couple of maybe a week back about self acceptance, and in that, I had mentioned about how we are more than what we think we are, who we think we are, rather than identifying ourselves with the deeds, especially the bad deeds that we have done. We should realize that there is more to us than that, and that there is a diamond within us which has been covered in all the gunk, and we put a layer of paint to make it pretty. But what we should really be doing is unearthing that diamond. So the search should be inward to get the diamond out. And I read a story, I came across a story that struck a chord, resonated very well with me. So I thought I'll share that story with you. Some of you may be familiar with that story. It is from an ancient Indian scripture. The story is about a very virtuous king called Janaka. Janaka was a very dedicated king, and what was unique about him was that he was an enlightened king. And unlike some others who got enlightenment and gave up their kingdom, he stuck with leading the kingdom and being the king that the people really needed, because having an enlightened leader makes a lot of difference. So one day he was sleeping, one night rather, he was sleeping in his palace. He had eaten a good meal and he was sleeping. And suddenly there was a security person that said that the kingdom is being invaded. They wage a war, they try to defend the kingdom against the invasion, and they lose it. So the kingdom gets invaded by the enemy king. And the enemy king then tells Janaka that because you're a very virtuous one, I'm not going to imprison you. I will just take possession of your kingdom and you're free to go. You can wander off. You can just go. So King Janaka is quite exhausted and he walks. And he walks and walks and walks. He comes to the end of his kingdom. And at that point, he's very hungry. He's very exhausted. He just wants some food. And he sees someone that's very generous, benevolent, charitable. They are offering food to the needy. So he goes and lines up in the queue. By now, people don't quite recognize him. He lines up in the queue, and his luck, by the time he gets a turn to get a bowl of food, they run out of food. And then he makes a request saying he's extremely exhausted and would prefer that they at least scrape the bottom of the vessel and give the food to him. So that's what they did. They scraped the bottom of the vessel and gave him the food. But when they put it in the bowl, they were not able to. By the time he tried to eat it, a dog came and dragged him and also dropped the food down. Okay, so even the food that he got, the little food that he got in his hand, he could not eat it, and he felt extremely frustrated. Obviously, he wasn't feeling very positive at that point. So when he felt so low, he suddenly woke up. And then he was like, the war, the defeat in the war, and me going around desperately asking for food, is that real? Or waking up in a palace surrounded by my security and all the facilities here, is this real? So he went on asking the question, is that real? Or is this real? Ye sach ya wo sach, as in they say in Hindi. So that was a constant question that he kept asking. He kept questioning which one was real. I was begging for food there. I was a defeated person. I was begging for food there, and that seemed very real. So was that real? Or me being a king here in this palatial palace, is this real? So he kept asking that question to the point that the government almost came to a standstill, because he was so puzzled by this question and he wanted an answer. And at that time, his wife's friend Ashtavakra, so he comes And he clarifies to the king that, Janaka, what you saw in your dream was an illusion. The dream is an illusion. It's a trick your mind plays. And what you see now, being a king in a palace and ruling, that is an illusion as well. So both are illusion. Both are things that your mind creates. So they all are illusion. But what is real then? What is real is there was something in you that was aware of you, what is going on around you, the begging and so on in the dreamland. And there was something in you that is aware of what is going on around you in the palace as a king. That, which is called consciousness, is all that is real. And that is who you are. You're not the king, you're not the beggar. Both are an illusion. You are the consciousness that was aware of both of these. This conclusion resonated very well with me. It's easy to say that you're more than who you think you are, but then it's better to have an answer as to who I really am, isn't it? So for me to know that that consciousness, which is common between the dream and what we think is real, that consciousness is what we are. That's who I am. That consciousness is who I am. And to think that my consciousness is connected to the universal consciousness, whether you want to call it God or a supreme power, it's your convenience. But to know that my consciousness is connected to such a greater consciousness rather, makes me feel humbled in a lot of ways, but also very reassured, because then the way I see the world, the way I see the problems, all the problems then become an illusion. It's a trick that the mind is playing. So for me, the story resonated very well with me, and I hope it gives you some food for thought. I'll see you in another video. Thank you. Bye-bye.